Now today I laid out the logo and backmasked it and actually got the silver sprayed despite the fact we're in some really cold temperatures here, really nasty weather in fact. This is the method I've used in my modeling career of over 50 years to lay out custom lettering on model airplanes and do other things without the benefit of painting masks and stuff. Simple tape and backmasking and the help of John Pathia, who was instrumental in making this all happen. And in the end, when I finally got the silver sprayed on this, and I know it's going to be an exact match to the wheels because I've already mixed the paint for that project, this is really going to add a nice touch. Well, it went down in the single digits last night, but it's up above 10 right now, and I'm going to go have some hot coffee before I even start this. Luckily, I always say one of the things about working on motorcycles in the winter like I do, you have to sequence things and you have to catch some lucky breaks. Well, lucky break was yesterday. We were able to paint. It snowed, but we were able to paint, so that was good. And now the parts are down by the heating vent. And today we're going to lay out the logo and try some different variations, sweeping it back and different things. And we're basically going to be inside all day. And that coffee pot, my new coffee pot has been great because it's a carafe, so it's like having a gas pump along. When you're riding, you turn around and the gas pump is that where your saddlebags are. Anyway, we're in Green Bay. It's unbelievable how cold it's been. But we got to go to war with the Army, with the Mt09 we have, that's for sure. So here's what we're dealing with today. You just can't make this stuff up. Hey birds, just don't forget who puts those seeds out there every morning for you. And don't poop on my car. And the new coffee maker is great. It actually kept the coffee warm all day. I didn't have to make a second pot after lunch. Now, I found in life, everything I've ever wanted has been hard work. I never have anything where there's just an app on a phone and you push a button and the bagel comes out of the oven. Everything, including this pond, is maintenance. This is what I love about having a pond. Why doesn't everybody have a pond? So Karen had a great idea. After chopping all the ice, we have a couple things to get from the store, and she said, what a great thing. The car will have a nice heater. Oh, it is really cold out here. And that ice is a constant, well, you want to have a pond, you got to pay. Well, last night I got to talk to Vlad, and I ordered the tires for the bike. He's going to hand deliver them, and that's going to be a big thing. That's another big piece of the puzzle for this job. And then we're going to use, my plan is to use this tire on one of the other bikes, prorate the mileage and see, because we're at about 4,000 now, and it isn't even put a dent in a tire. It looks like it's it's got 1,000 miles on it, but they are wearing real good, but I want to know the final numbers. And I ordered a matched pair, brand new Michelin 5s for when the wheels are painted. But today, the objective of today is to do the logo. And that's going to be a really labor-intensive thing, but it's going to be inside too. And I've been religious about coming out to the garage and switching the battery tenders so that all the bikes get charged on any of these cold days. Get topped off anyway. And tomorrow I'm slated to, Luciano's had some health issues. He says he's ready to have a visit. I'm going to try to stop up. I haven't seen his new puppy yet. So there's a lot going on. But that pond every morning. You could die out here. And this is pretty funny. We have this modern furnace many years now, so at least the cost of heating the house is down. But boy, in this cold weather, it almost never shuts off. And that, by the way, is the chimney for a modern furnace. Now, when it's this cold, the birds wipe out that feeder in a matter of a couple hours. These guys, you know what you're costing me? I may not be able to make the mortgage payment on the house today. And Karen is so happy with her flowers. She loves flowers. And in the summer we grow our own, but these actually came from Costa Rica. Alright, Karen says let's go do errands. Well, it's so cold, she wants to get back in the house later too. As do I. And at least it'll warm up a little while we're out doing our business. It's amazing in this cold weather how attractive it is to have a job today. We almost won't be outside unless it warms up and we get to paint those numbers, the letters. But right now it does not look like it's going to warm up. But it is a bright sunny day. If you didn't know how cold it was, you'd think we'd go riding today. Boy, it's always good to be home I wish I was pulling into the driveway on a motorcycle on a day when it was 70 degrees. Unfortunately, that's not today. Now this is pretty cool. You just get back from a, what shall we call it? Errands. Karen's errands. And the coffee's already brewed. It couldn't be any better. This is really, and it really keeps the coffee hot. We preheat it with hot water and it stays hot all day. Oh, it's so good to get out of the cold. Let's see how those parts are drying up. Oh, I can't wait. They've been up by the heating vent overnight. They will be ready. And I did it on purpose because what I wanted to do, I wanted to make sure that that paint was totally dry and I didn't pull anything up with the masking tape. So hopefully I've stacked the deck in my favor. And we didn't even open up the windshield. That's the spare windshield for the evil twin part of this project and the spare fender. So haven't even started that yet. And yesterday we made a good tracing of the lettering and found out a couple of things that we didn't know before, that these numbers are not, this is not a parallel line. It tapers. I've got to account for that taper. None of the bars are equal, but I did make a map, and it's on yesterday's video, of exactly what size it is, so I have a good starting point. And I have the letters, and I have a whole stack of stuff from John that's pretty much replication of these letters reversed. So what John Pothier has already done, and we know it's very accurate. So what I'm going to do is with a brand new razor and a ruler, I'm going to carefully cut the numbers out. I know exactly what this, but here I have them in space backwards. So this is going to make the job just a little bit easier. It was very handy in the course of this job that I had those reverse image things that John had done with the computer. Just made what could be a confusing job relatively easy. Now I trimmed these totally out, so I left the line, the thickness of the line on there, so I can do some fine tuning if I have to. A lot easier for me to envision what it's going to look like here. Now that I have this letters slanted that way, and see, this is what Yamaha should have done. It wouldn't have been a problem. But this is the side that you see most of the time. I always say the gas side of the bike is the side you see the most. And they had this wrong and they cut off the knife. Maybe that's some modern thing with young people. I don't know, but I don't like it. I'm old school. I'm just old. So anyway, we do have a rough pattern now. Now it's easy for me to envision what this looks like. There's only one small problem. We're replacing 3 boxes, and all 3 boxes are a different size on the stock lettering. So what I'm envisioning is probably going to happen is I'm going to just try to move the letters slightly further apart than what they were stock and make them slightly bigger, because the one side is fine, but the other side has to angle up maybe 1/8 of an inch. So I'll have to lay that out in tape and then lay these bars out. It's going to be complicated. Now it's like the FZR where the stripe started at one end and the stripe itself got thicker in the front and the bars got thicker. And it gets a lot more involved than you think it would. But you got to start somewhere, and this is a good place to start. Now, in the case of working with this tape, I know this tape is not brand new, so the first thing I do is pull off a few feet of it, get rid of it. And actually it's in my favor because this tape is not going to stay on a motorcycle when I'm done. So I want to lay out, and this is always a way, if the tape is a little too sticky, you can rub it up on a flannel shirt, since we're not actually going to use this piece of tape. This is just an alignment piece, and I want to line this up. I measured the stock part, and this was exactly 1/4 inch, so we know that's going to be accurate. Now I need a piece of 1/8 inch tape, and luckily they did, Yamaha in their wisdom did everything in 1/8 and 1/4 inches. They didn't do it in millimeters and gonzo meters and everything. So again, a good place to use up some of this old tape. I don't actually have any new tape, so shame on me. Anyway, we're going to be able to get through this without the tape, because this tape is going to go on and off many times before I'm happy with this. This line lines up with this. Now there's only one little tiny problem. This has a curve to it, so if I were to try to make let me get this up. If I were to try to make a paint mask and lay it on there, it doesn't want to really conform. I know that from having done this enough times. but having tape works like a net going around a basketball. So let's see if, now this is the side that we already have laid out, so this is going to be relatively simple. This is going to be here. What I wanted to do, and this is the part of it that's tricky, I wanted to lay this out just the 09 without the box, because that was my first choice. I don't like the idea of the box because the box doesn't match anything, and I think it looks a lot better just like this. And that would mean, now that I have, these are the stock pieces, I pretty much can do it static. So what I'm going to have to do is tape these down while I lay this out. And now the thing that I wanted to do, and I'll do it without the camera running because it's going to take forever. What I wanted to do is spend the next half hour or so moving this back, forward, up, down, pretty much see where I really want it. Make that box. And now I have to set this taper angle, which is about 1/8 of an inch. See, this now is going to be a lot of back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, until I get this to look exactly what I want. And what I want to wind up with is 2 boxes in exactly the position that I want them in. Now in measuring this, and I'm measuring at roughly a 90-degree angle here, it's exactly the opposite of what I thought it was. It's 1/8 of an inch thinner at the end, and it gets bigger. I thought it was going to be the opposite. No, shame on me. But the other side has to go the opposite way. So it's getting bigger toward the front by about 1/8 of an inch. I have to account for that when I make the boxes, the final boxes. Now if we were using this box, this thickness and this one are much different by about 1/8 of an inch. Everything, the Japanese engineers that did this, it's got a taper of 1/8 of an inch, and it adds, and everything is in 1/8 of an inch increments here. And we have 1/8 inch tape, so that should make it pretty easy to lay this out. Now, as many times as I've laid this out, even with that angle, because I have to account, I only have 2 of these boxes, not 3. So I've tried to account for that. And this is the kind of thing, like, you just have to do it by eyeball. You really can't just lay a ruler there and put that angle in. Because what's going to happen, this leg is going to get a little thicker at the end, this one, by oh, maybe a 32nd of an inch. But if you don't get it right, you'll see it. This is his Oracle paper. You buy this in Michael's. And we made paint masks out of this for the other projects, actually, the Kawasaki too. But this axe, I can cut it in various thicknesses to basically make tape from it, using a ruler, of course. And it's nice that it's got a grid pattern on the back and everything. So I basically can do this, is look at the paper and see it's exactly on a grid line. That's going to make this just a little bit easier. And obviously that's what we're trying to do, is make it easy. So I can just grid line off one strip of this, and this should be, I didn't realize this was going to be all in even increments. I thought what they were going to do, good old Yamaha, would do everything in metric numbers, but I guess they didn't. So what we're really doing here is just making what amounts to be a piece of tape. Now the Oracle paper really is good because it doesn't have super high-tack glue that pulls up your paint. And in this case, it cuts with always a new razor. It cuts beautifully. You lay the razor where you want it, and there it is. So it's going to allow us to basically lay out the numbers. Oh, I can see them when I'm done. I can see the numbers in gold, which is, I guess if I really were smart, I could have bought a thing of silver Oracle paper and seen them in real life. But the gold will be close enough. So laying this out with the Oracle paper is just, this is going to make it real easy and give me a real good look at what this is going to look like. Should have really bought a piece of silver Oracle paper. I didn't. See, I dropped the ball. So by this time I've realized how many things about this are different and why it would be just impractical to just go get a sticker, cut off the box and glue it on. It really does have to have a little bit of artwork to it to get that very slight taper. You almost don't see it, but it's there and you can measure it. So the next thing is to lay out the 9 with the Oracle tape, and then we pull off all the other masking tape, and that's going to allow us to see if we like it. Now, if we wanted to, at that point in time, we don't like it, we could move it back, up, down. I want to look at it in real life, and that's so important because I'm going to be looking at this, and this is a hard concept to get across people. In my case, I don't flip, buy and sell bikes. I don't try to make $10 by buying and selling bikes. What I try to do is buy a bike, evil twin it whenever I can, and keep it for the rest of my life. All of my bikes are hopefully keepers. Okay, that lets me look at it roughly in real time, I guess is the right word. And keeping in mind that these boxes are not equal sizes, there's a taper to them. This gets a little involved, but when I lay this out, I've got to take all that stuff into account and be very, very careful to get the things your eye will pick up. Is if this line isn't perfectly parallel, if one is one way or the other, that these angles, and this angle in the back is just a little bit more because of that. On the other side, it's going to be the 0 that has that little taper in it, but I think this is going to work out fine. And it really, I wasn't sure until I see it in real life. So the next thing, I'll take off all the extra tape off around it and put permanent tape, and then I'll be able to pull up the gold, back mask it, and that one side will be done. Then I can use this side as a mirror to measure very accurately where I have it using the map, and it'll be the reverse of this. The 0 will be bigger and the 9 will be smaller. A job like this really gets labor intensive after a while when you want it to be a certain thing, and I want to be real careful I don't scratch the paint. It's always a good idea not to press the tape down and really pull it up slowly. Be real careful. In this case, the fact that this is old tape is working in our favor, but I really did want to see this in real life, in full scale, and the only thing I could have done better is I could have bought that piece, and that's on me. This is going to really be something you can't do any other way that I know of, is to see something in real life. You can see a picture of it. And there's so many things I've found when I'm making concept sketches. They look good in a concept sketch, and then once I see it in real life, I go, oh, I could have changed. I could have made that a little bit different or better or something. And so I really wanted to pay the price here and see what this looked like in real life, because this is going to be a defining feature of the motorcycle, and I'm going to be looking at it for a long time. So, you know, it's nice. I can hold this up to the computer screen and I can see side by side. I can see one of the things I think the bars, the horizontal bars, could be a little bit thinner, because again, what I'm looking for is I want to make it look like the factory logo, but of course it's going to be without the box and silver. So having these photos and having the ones that John did, priceless. So now I did it. I measured it very accurately, and I put a dot on this, and I know that we can make this. See, just by pulling up the old tape and replacing the tape, I can get a look at it, and because once I'm done with it, I'm done forever. So I don't have to be done to have an extra cup of coffee in a half an hour. But this paper really is easy to use. And as I pull this tape up, this is why making a tape even just a little bit thinner, the smallest amount thinner, it really changes everything. It's amazing how quick that happens. So we'll pull this up, just replace it, and we'll be good to go here, I think. I think we're pretty much closing in on having one side done here. But again, this is just a pattern. Now let's see if the bottom piece, the bottom piece was the right side. I just screwed it up. I put the second one over there, thinking I had to make it thicker. But what this allows us to do is endlessly fine-tune it with no commitment and very, very little effort. And once we're done and we're real happy with it, I'll be very happy. And it's really, really, the temperature never went up into the 20s today. I'm not even sure I'll be able to paint if I did get this done today. I think I got this side pretty well what I was expecting, what I was hoping for, close to what I'd like. Now to do the other side and make that mirror image, which may be a little more difficult. Now it definitely looks like this would be a lot better if Yamaha had done that, but who am I to say? Anyway, it looks like now it's just a question of pulling off the tape, and I think we're pretty much ready to start backmasking. And every step of the way, I like to look at it in every possible dimension by looking at it in various angles and stuff to see if I've got it right, got the taper right, and it looks like I've got it just what I wanted. Now we're ready to start backmasking, and this is the most fresh roll of tape that I have because these are edges that we're actually going to use, so this will ensure that I get straight lines, number one. Now, even though this is labor intensive to do it this way, this is the way I did most of the model planes that I created the unique lettering for, and they were super labor intensive, but the fact that this part has a curve, it allows those lines to be perfectly straight at the end. And I'm hoping that the silver, when we have this dry overnight, the silver is going to leave very nice crisp edges, because silver covers so well, you don't need to put a lot of colors on. If we were doing these white, you'd need more paint and the edge would be thicker. The silver is going to be a good choice, and that color silver with the paste pigment, when that's going to be an absolute exact match to the wheels, because it's going to basically come from the same jar of pigment, and we've already tested it, and it looks great in the sun. Now all that's left is to get my fingernail down in all the corners, all the edges. Because I've done this with one piece of tape, I would hope that I would have some really nice crisp lines when this is done. And the last part of this, of course, is going to be to backmask it with tinfoil. But for right now, that's the hard part. I want to get the other one done and look at them and make sure I'm happy with the symmetry of everything. But since this is a logo that we don't have a real life example to work off, we're having to use that. But by getting all these lines done with one piece of tape, it ensures that we're getting the best crisp edge we can here. And the other one is pretty redundant. When we get them both done, then we'll check them for symmetry. Okay, we're ready to backmask with tinfoil, and we'll hopefully be able to get this painted silver today. Now I'm going through our silver paint because we made some silver that were, this is the big flake. See, I marked each one of them on that day that oh, here it is. And this is with the paste pigment. This is the one we want to use. So I'm glad I kept everything together here. Very convenient. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have like 10, 12 different, including the one for the R1 wheels. But the one I want to use is the one with the paste pigment. And I want to, even though it's just about freezing out there, I want to just put the silver on today and then let it sit overnight. So as I always do whenever I backmask anything, I like to thank the late Walt Prey, custom car from car business from California, and a super modeler. He shared with us a lot of technology, including this backmasking, and this just makes it so easy. I've used it in modeling, and by the way, I've done these letters on many of the models that I've made, and I've got pictures. Maybe at the end of this I'll share some of the pictures. Some of the lettering I've done using this exact system right here. I've done probably, I wouldn't even guess, more than 50 models over the course of 50 years, because a lot of years I made more than one model. So. And thank you to all the modelers and motorcyclists that have shared information over the years. People that share on YouTube, people that share the information, just make life a better experience, that's for sure. And this has just been one of the times I've been able to share on YouTube some of the things I've learned over my many years, illustrious career as a modeler and motorcycle restorer. And I hope they're things that make your enjoyment of the event even better. And because on a previous video we did all the testing of this silver paint, and that is on a previous video on our channel of mixing and testing the paint. I just have a great feeling that when you get the wheels done on this project, and this little piece of trim is just going to tie the whole package together. And that's I think what made the 650 restoration really nice is we were able to get the wheels and all the trim on the tank and on the fairing and stuff all out of the same mixture of paint. And when you put it out in the sun, it's an absolute exact match. Now, this worked out better than I could have ever expected, and thank you, John Pothier, for all the help with this project. Hopefully at the end of this, we'll have the scoops with the letters going in the correct direction, and maybe Yamaha will see that online and send me a thank you email, and they'll do that on future motorcycles. It's all in the eye of the beholder. It's like eating ice cream. You like vanilla, I like chocolate, whatever. But here's the big thing right now. I want this to dry overnight under a heating vent. Now, I know if we were in a rush, if this were summer, we could rush this along somehow. I don't know that that would pay. I don't know that that would be worthwhile. Because tomorrow I want to go visit Luciano. He's home from the hospital. And I told him I'd bring him up some Kawasaki green paint and some magazines. And I have a great picture of him from our last day at track day at Pocono when we had the whole A-team there. A frameable picture. I'm sure he'll like it. But anyway, that's tomorrow. I'm going to sleep good tonight knowing this is drying under a heating vent. Well, that's one more part of this work that we're doing on the MT09. And we're trying to post a video every day of the parts we work on, how we're doing it. We're doing it one piece at a time. And it seems like it's coming out pretty good so far. I thought because we did all this backmasking, I'd show some of the photos that are on my computer from my modeling years. And these lettering jobs, take a look at the lettering. Not really about the models, it's about the lettering. These are unique fonts. Every one of them is a unique thing. None of them are computer generated. Every one of them is done exactly with the method that I showed on this video. And I did this all in the time of the modeling years, and that goes back till I was 15 years old. But I've learned along the way, and I've developed this technique. And in the modeling, on the videos that are on my airplane channel, I have 3 channels, they show how to do this in complete detail, including the white outline around the letters, and then ink lining with an ink liner. Hey, there's the day I picked up the R1. Look at that. And these are pictures that I have on my album, on a modeling album on my computer. So they're not in any sequence, of course. But if you look at the lettering and the way it's done with the masking tape, and here's a good example with the white outline, and look at it close. It's really, when you look at it, if you're not sure how did he do that, well, yeah, it looks really difficult. But if you see how it's done, and if you were looking to do this kind of a lettering and on a motorcycle, a custom bike, and write some kind of thing with a white outline around the letters. Actually, we used it to make the FZR logo. So I didn't even think of that until I'm looking at these pictures. But another thing from the world of modeling, a lot of these parts, the propellers are carbon fiber that I molded. All the little exhaust stacks are molded from epoxy. The little exhausts, all the little details, the rivet heads, that's all part of the world of modeling. That's a very, very high skill thing. And when you're competing in that world of modeling, you're competing with some pretty intense people. And anyway, I've enjoyed modeling and motorcycling, and basically enjoyed them at the same time. So I've kind of combined, for my life, it's all been the best of both worlds, and having models and motorcycles. So I hope you did enjoy the video, and we do try to ride all summer, work on motorcycles all winter, try to share the information as best we can. Sometime we're pretty successful at it, sometime, well, maybe not so successful. But I try not to leave out steps. And I know most people, they haven't done this kind of work. And it may be interesting just to watch other people do it. And it may be interesting if you want to do it on your own motorcycle, or in some people's cases, model planes. But the technology in modeling and the technology in motorcycling is very similar. A lot of the things apply to both. And a lot of things that you learn from painting model planes or motorcycles, you can use to paint something else like a guitar. So I enjoy making the videos. I enjoy editing them. I hope you enjoy watching them. And we post something every day, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow.